Hello, world. My next guest is not only an author and an entrepreneur, but he's also the founder and CEO of both G8P.co and SyncShow.com, where he's been revolutionizing the world of B2B marketing for over 2 decades. With a deep expertise in digital marketing strategy, lead generation, and marketing consultancy, he brings a unique perspective that goes well beyond mere tactics. Frustrated by the common challenges companies face making their marketing effective, he actually developed the Great Eight Pillars to help turn marketing departments from costly expenses into the powerful profit centers that we know them today. Having worked with hundreds of companies, he has helped scale businesses by implementing world-class marketing practices. We're lucky to have him here to get radically transparent. Please join me in welcoming Chris Peer to the show. Chris, are you ready to get radically transparent with me?
Yeah, let's do this, Jen. And
Can't
thank you. That was the best intro I've ever had. That was great.
I love it. Listen, once I saw the book, and we're going to dive into this in a little bit, but the Great Eight Pillars, you had my brain really, stumped for a while of like, why didn't we speak sooner? So thanks for joining us on the show. And in true radically transparent fashion, I'm going to kick off with our famous show starting question. Chris, you've done so much. What is keeping you up at night these days professionally?
Oh wow, professionally. So running two companies, um, I think just everything. The changing world economics, AI, and the impact it's going to have on marketing is huge. Just staying forefront on marketing technologies and marketing best practices so that we can continue to provide return on investment and value to our clients. Those are the things that keep me up.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hopefully you
Yeah.
get some sleep. But yeah, running two businesses, yeah, there's never a dull moment. And on top of that, right? I know you're an author. You authored the book, The Great Eight Pillars. I am familiar with it. I've read some chapters to prepare for this interview. And in it, you discuss the importance of what you coin operational infrastructure in marketing.
Mhm.
And so many questions for you. But the first one, right? What led you to realize that so many companies were missing the mark when it comes to their marketing strategies in terms of the operational infrastructure?
Yeah, so let me put this in context for you. I've owned my agency for 22 years, and we specialize in working with B2B industrial companies. And not just any B2B industrial company, but our typical client is what we would call marketing immature or marketing established and versus marketing mature.
Okay.
So like I look at marketing mature companies, and typically they're doing a lot of things really well. They have a staff in-house. Um, they know what they're doing. They've been doing this a long time. A lot of our customers are small to middle market companies that have failed to get marketing right. And several years ago, myself and two other team members on my Sync Show team, we set out to identify exactly what was working and what was not working in marketing so that we could add tremendous value to our customers. And Jen, when we started it, like if I'm being completely honest, I thought it was going to be like which marketing tactics worked or didn't work. Um, so do we invest more in social or do we do more paid advertising? You name it. And when we started writing the book and doing all our research, we went back to all the companies we had worked with over a 20-year period. And what hit us over the head kind of as a surprise was that marketing return on investment had more to do with your operational infrastructure than it did the specific tactics you were using. And so that's what we wrote the book about. And I can talk a little bit more about what those operational infrastructure components are. Those are the great eight pillars.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it makes sense to dive a little bit into, what are the great eight pillars? What, can you share what they are and what the eight are? And then, right, they become essentially what you talk about in the book is the foundation for sustainable growth. So yeah, let's unravel it. Let's get transparent. What are these eight great pillars that we need as B2B marketers?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying like what we were finding is a lot of companies didn't have certain things in place. So The one example I use in the book is we've worked with hundreds of companies over the last 22 years, and not a single one of them, when we first started working together, handed me their written, documented marketing strategy and said, "Can you help us implement this?"
Wow.
So having a written, documented marketing strategy is one of the pillars. It's pillar number two. Um, Actually, it's pillar number three. I'm sorry. But the pillars aren't in order. So I'll go through them real quick, and then we can talk about any of the ones you want to.
Sure.
So number one is goals, KPIs, and industry benchmarks. You got to know where you're going, right? What are your goals? How are you going to track it? A lot of companies do what I call whack-a-mole style marketing, where they just start doing marketing tactics, trying to see what's going to stick. So we recommend you first build out what is your goal and tie it to a return on investment. So we believe that the marketing department, however much money you're spending on marketing on your P&L in your financial books, should pay for itself and then some. And so with our clients, we strive for a 10x ROI to help give you some context around that. So goals, KPIs, industry benchmarks is number one. Number two is value proposition, messaging, and branding. You got to have a great value prop. If you don't know why your customers should choose you over the competition, you can drive all the leads and do all the marketing and sales efforts you want, but you're not going to close sales. Number three is your marketing strategy. So that's a written, documented plan. Number four is your marketing team structure. Do you
Mm.
have the people in place to pull it off? Number five is what I call the almighty website. So is it a online brochure or is it a lead generation machine? Number six is your analytics and reporting. So do you have the right processes, reports, and cadence, and the right people viewing the reports from your marketing efforts? And are you tracking vanity metrics or true ROI-driven KPIs? Number seven is your tech stack. So are you leveraging the right technologies like marketing automation or Oktopost as an example for social media? And then last but not least, number eight are what we call templates and guides.
Mm.
So these are the things that make you more efficient in your day-to-day operations.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for walking us through those 8 pillars. I have more questions, right? And one of them, so the role of technology in the tech stack. I think this is such an interesting one, especially for marketers, because traditionally, and you can keep me honest, right? But traditionally, marketers, we're known as the creative people. We're not known as the tech people. And I feel like as marketing has evolved and, we have digital transformation and more tech stack and more tech and more tech and more tech, suddenly it feels like marketing has, I won't say lost its creativity, but marketers need to be quite savvy in understanding technology, how these systems work together, how they communicate to each other. And then as all these technologies are collecting all of this data, like you said in one of the pillars, right? Who's the person sitting, behind the curtain collecting all of this data and understanding what to do with it all and analyzing the right things at the right time. So in terms of technology, right, there's been so much advancement with AI. That's a huge, trend, buzzword. All marketers, I feel, we're trying to figure out how to use it. How do you see the role of technology evolving for marketers? And what do you think B2B organizations should be most mindful of when they're integrating new tools into their infrastructure?
Well, that's a big question,
Big
but
question.
a really good one. Well, you mentioned just a moment ago the role of technology and maybe to some degree that creativity has been lost. And as you said that, it made me think about a comment I heard. This is going back 10 or 15 years. I was at a conference, a business conference, and the keynote speaker was up on stage talking about sales. And he said, sales is the lifeblood of a company, and marketing is arts and crafts.
Oh,
And I
ouch.
was I was pretty pissed off as a marketer. But 15 years ago, I think it was closer to 15 years. 15 years ago, I went home that night and I was sitting in bed thinking about his comment. And to some degree, I understood why he said it. At that time, we lacked the sophisticated technologies and the tools we have today. And so we were largely creative. And by creative, I'm talking about like layout, design, colors, snappy graphics, and taglines and editorial copy. And while those things are still important, I think our creativity has shifted into how we leverage technology.
Interesting.
And so when you've got marketing automation, whichever tool you use, or your social media tools or email marketing tools, I think the creativity has been switched into how we leverage those to connect with
Hmm.
sales enablement, and then how to leverage those technologies for data and analytics so that we can make smarter, more educated decisions. I was on a panel discussion last week, and we were talking about the use of technology and CRM and integration with marketing automation software. And I made the comment like, today marketing is like rocket science. It's very scientific compared to where it was 15 years ago.
Yes.
So when you asked me earlier about what keeps me up at night, that's part of it. It's like how do you stay on top of this radically changing field?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be
It,
the expert of Google Plus today. I can say that with confidence. But,
yeah.
I agree with you there. And I think that's what's the interesting shift. Working myself in social, and what we see in the marketing teams is you have almost this gap of knowledge where we have to upskill ourselves and train ourselves to be more analytical, right? We see job descriptions, data driven marketing, but what does that really mean? And what do you do with a field that, right? I wouldn't say that it was never data driven. It should, right, at some degree, it was always data driven, but I think it's become so based on data and analysis that you really need that skill set as a marketer. And I think for some time you can kind of get away with like not being so great at math, right? But I think great marketing leaders, right, comes down to being able to manage both people and math, right? So we do see this gap. So I think it's interesting with the evolving technologies. Where are those gaps? Will we be able to upskill in those gaps? Will jobs be shifting? What does the future of marketing teams look like, right? And that goes back to one of your pillars, right? Do we have the right people in the right seats to do those jobs? So in the teams that you're consulting with, what does a team look like? Like what do you think are the most critical, roles that should sit on the marketing team today?
So I actually have a whole chapter in the book about how to break it down by your budget for marketing and your level of aggressiveness. So it's really different for every organization. It depends on whether you want to invest in full-time hires or work with an agency or a combination of the two, or contractors. Um, but really, we break it down into several key areas for your marketing team. What we found in working with most of our customers, and even in our early days as an agency, you try to get away with as little resources as you can. And so you have people do multiple functions. And that rarely works if you want to get true return on investment from your marketing. So we break it down into one, you need strategists. So having not an account manager, but an account strategist on your team, somebody who sees the big picture and understands the strategic value and visioning for your marketing department. Then you're going to need what we call specialists. Specialists are those that are doing the day-to-day implementation of like search engine optimization, or a writing specialist, a video or a graphic design specialist. There's dozens of different categories of specialists, but choosing the right specialists for your job. Then we've got project management. So somebody who understands how to move tasks and um, initiatives through a plan, get it done on time and on budget. And then sometimes you can have an implementation team as well that is purely just doing the publishing and the technical component. Some of those you can combine, but like you don't want your strategist doing implementation. You don't want your specialist to be a project manager. So if you don't have those separate and you have them all in one person, it's almost impossible to pull it off.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why we wrote this chapter on.
That's why we need you, Chris. So, with that being said, in your opinion, you've been around the block for a while in the industry for some time. What skills do you think AI isn't replacing these days?
Wow. So if you're listening to this in 6 months from now, this is going to completely change. So I don't really like commenting on AI because it can make you look stupid pretty fast.
Fair.
However, today, here we are in, fourth quarter of 2024. Um, I still believe that the strategic component, the human oversight, the ability to forecast and see the big picture, AI is not there yet. It might get there. However, AI can take data and parse it and value propositions and writing style guidelines and create content and graphics and you know chop up all your content to social media posts and blog articles and all that stuff. That's pretty amazing. So I do see a lot of the specialist or technical capacities of marketing being replaced by AI, but I still think that project management and strategy has to be done by a human, and a human still needs to oversee a lot of the AI generated content
Yeah.
because it's not always accurate.
Yeah, I think it's interesting there. I think media literacy is a skill never going out of style because, as you mentioned, right, someone needs to sift through and understand where is this information being pulled from? Is this accurate? Is this not accurate? Right? Is this relevant? Is this on brand, on message? Maybe yes. And then I even think too, when I don't know, as we put the prompts into AI, right? Someone needs to put the right prompts. It comes down to the prompt. So yeah, I would agree. I think what we need to do is in 6 months' time, bring you back and we'll hold it to see where AI is at and we'll re-ask you this question. So shifting away from AI, right? So I know we were talking about marketing infrastructure. And I know that throughout the book, you really drive home the point that without a strong infrastructure, your marketing efforts are wasted. And it makes sense, right? And that the tactics, they're going to fail if you don't have that strong infrastructure. Could you share, from your experience, maybe a case where you were building out a robust marketing infrastructure and you saw it being quite helpful to achieve a business's long-term, growth and success, or maybe an example of a brand you've worked with recently?
Yeah, so we have tons of case studies on this and even downloadable on our website. I think what we see I'm not going to give you a specific client because it's like almost every
Yeah,
single
we'll head
client.
over to your website. Remind us, what is the website we should head to?
So Sync Show, SYNCSHOW.com. We have a resources section. You can download all the case studies and resources there. But what we see time and time again, Jen, is companies come to us and say, hey, we've hired another agency before. We've worked with one, two, three different agencies, and we never got the results. We never saw, traction. We saw some maybe increases in website traffic or social media, but they didn't result in new business development or anything tangible we can track. And so I'll usually talk to them about, well, how did they approach it? My gut is they went into a whack-a-mole style tactical program. And this is usually also confirmed when I'm talking with new business prospects and they say, well, we're looking at 2 to 3 different other agencies and Sync Show's in the mix. And I'll say, okay, I said, I'll guarantee you that the other agencies are going to do X, Y, and Z, and have already pitched you on certain tactical programs. And they're like, well, yeah, they have. And they said, what are you going to do for us? I'm like, I don't know yet because we haven't built out your strategy. So I think it's really important to get those strategies aligned with your goals, aligned with the business drivers, and to meet the companies where they are in their marketing and sales operations with their goals. Then you can build the system to support their growth.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's magical. I mean, because now our average client stays with us for over 4 years, and that's 1 to 2 times longer than the industry average. with marketing agencies, and it's because we're aligned with their operations, not just this company doing a tactic.
Yeah, totally. So listen, Chris, I have one last question for you. Well, actually two, but the last one will be where we can buy this book. So heads up. But I wanna know, you've given, some great insight into the great eight pillars. What's one thing that you can actually share about yourself that we actually can't learn about you from your LinkedIn profile or asking AI?
So I'm a avid largemouth bass fisherman. I
Oh,
I love fishing. I fish a lot, so that's like my passion when I'm not working, and that's like where I get my mental break.
I love it. That's so cool. Where do you fish? What are some of the great spots?
So I'm located in Northeast Ohio in the United States. So a lot of the Great Lakes, inland lakes around here. Sometimes I'll travel my boat down south to Florida or somewhere, but all over the place, Jen.
I love
So
it. Well, keep fishing. I think what is that quote from Finding Nemo? Keep swimming. And as marketers, that's just what we're gonna do as all of these new trends and new technologies come our way. If anybody wants to connect with you, to work with you, speak marketing, B2B tactics, structure, technology, we want a copy of the book, The Great Eight Pillars. Where's the best place to connect and where can we buy the book?
yeah, so the easiest way to get in touch with me is through the syncshow.com website. We have a request a consultation. All those consultations, I'm copied on them. So if you've heard about me through Radically Transparent, put that in the little note, and I'll make sure I personally respond. Um, yeah, and even if you just have a random question, feel free to reach out. I love just talking shop. And then my book is here, so it looks like this. You can get this on Amazon. So just type in Great Eight Pillars on Amazon, and you can find it there. And then the book is geared towards B2B manufacturing companies.
Amazing.
Later this year, I'm publishing another book, similar topic or very, very similar content for all B2B businesses, not just manufacturing.
Oh, amazing. Well, we will definitely be in touch because it's right up our alley. And I also know that we have quite a few manufacturing listeners here leading, marketing and manufacturing organizations, companies. I know digital transformation is a huge topic there. So maybe we'll bring you back, talk a little digital transformation, moving forward. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me and getting radically transparent. And I look forward to having more books on my shelf from Chris Peer.
Well, it's been great talking with you, Jen. I really appreciate it.